Hi, I'm Gavin Blagden from the eCommerce Association. Today we're in the beautiful City Hall in Dublin. We're talking this month on PSD2 and what it means to online traders. Today we have Gavin Blagden from Visa Europe. Welcome, Gavin.
Hi, good morning.
So Gavin, can you explain to us what is Strong Customer Authentication, or SCA?
Yeah, so SCA is the new regulatory requirements around remote transactions. So in effect, it's ensuring that customers are properly authenticated to make sure that the risk in the ecosystem is low and fraud losses are kept to a minimum. So it's what we used to call two-factor authentication. So customers must be verified using 2 of 3 measures. It could be something you know, something that you are, or something that you possess. So it's all about risk control.
And can you tell us why Strong Customer Authentication is so important to Irish retailers?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's really important for retailers in Ireland to understand the implications of the regulation, because the regulation is set at the bank level. So it's issuers and acquirers who are regulated by the European Bank Association, and they must comply with the requirements of SCA. So if you're a retailer in Ireland and you're processing transactions that are not compliant, once SCA is properly enforced, then there is a proper risk that the issuers may in fact go ahead and decline that transaction. So by not understanding the rules and regulations around SCA, retailers could find themselves in the position where they receive a lot of declines, which is obviously a bad thing.
Gavin, in an e-commerce scenario, how is Strong Customer Authentication applied?
Yeah, so we have something called 3DS, which is Visa Secure in our parlance, and that's the mechanism that connects the cardholder to their issuing bank during an e-commerce transaction. So it's the merchant, the retailer, who initiates the 3DS call out. They contact the issuer's ACS system, and that's how the cardholder is authenticated. So it's called 3DS, and that's in essence how cardholders are authenticated. So the merchant will request authentication, but it's up to the issuer to decide how that customer is authenticated.
Are there any exceptions to Strong Customer Authentication?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you get down into the weeds of the regulation, there are many transactions that do not require strong customer authentication. There's basically 2 categories. There's out of scope, and then there's lots of exemptions that can be used. So it's very important for retailers to understand that that they must connect with their gateway, with their acquirer, and really find out the best way to navigate and finesse their way around that regulation, because we don't always have to have friction in the consumer journey. There's many scenarios where that isn't required. Examples would be things like low risk, low value, transactions that take place over the telephone. Strong customer authentication isn't always required. So it's impossible. So it's very important to get into the detail and really find out when SCA is required and when it isn't.
And Gavin, finally, what tip would you give to Irish retailers out there dealing with PSD2 and SCA?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. So on paper at least, Strong Customer Authentication was due to go live in a couple of weeks, September the 14th, but there were real concerns understood and expressed in the market about readiness, particularly on the retailer side. So there will be a period of transition where the regulation won't be enforced by the national competent authority, which in Ireland is the Central Bank of Ireland. But it's really important that retailers take action now, connect with their gateways, connect with their acquirers, and really get ready for when PSD2 SCA is actively policed. We can't have a situation 18 months down the line where we're in a similar situation of merchants not being ready. So time for action is really now.
Thank you, Gavin. That was really good. So as I said, as part of this month, we're doing more on PSD2 and what it means to online retailers. You can find these videos and more on www.psd2.ie, the ECAI website, ecai.ie, and now on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, please follow.